Valerie Bodson, Dr. Draghi, thank you very much for that candid and engaging conversation. I'd like us to move on now because we have another special guest today. Joining us live via video link from London, Ukraine's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dmytro Kuleba. Welcome to you, sir. It's an honor to have you joining us here at the Amundi World Investment Forum.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Now, I believe you are in London right now for the International Ukraine Recovery Conference, and you have a message for our audience here today.
Yes, as you gathered in Paris for the World Investment Forum, led by Amundi, there is a big conference taking place in London, Ukraine Recovery Conference, that brought together representatives of governments, international organizations, and businesses. The title of this conference speaks for itself: Recovery, Ukraine Recovery Conference. So some important decisions were made here on introducing mechanisms of ensuring war-related risks for private companies, of creating the business compact, a coalition of companies who are willing to participate in the recovery of Ukraine. But if I boil the whole big story down to just one sentence, it's very simple: invest in Ukraine. I know you read news and you follow various commentators on the war in Ukraine. And when Valerie mentioned that the reshaping of global balance is one of the things that investors have to watch closely, she's absolutely right. And you have to know one thing, that the balance, the global balance, to a large extent, is being defined now on the battlefield in Ukraine. And also in the offices, in European capitals, in North America and in Asia, on how the future balance of power will look like. There are many players and many actors in this game, including things like global recession or the rise of artificial intelligence. But it doesn't matter how smart our technologies are, because future is still defined by two infantrymen shooting at each other on the front line. And this is the sober reality that we all have to understand. Now, probably you and I, we come from different areas. I've been in diplomacy for my entire life. You are people coming from business, but I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, you probably have two questions: how long the war is going to last, and how it is going to end. Now, I have an answer to one question. Well, actually, I have answers for both. The answer for the second question is Ukraine is going to win. And I'm serious, I mean it. In particular, for the reasons mentioned by the previous speaker, distinguished Dr. Draghi. And the answer to the first question, how long it is going to last, I don't know. I have no idea, and no one can tell you. But the truth is that if Ukraine doesn't win, opportunities related to, again, let's mention artificial intelligence or the impact of kind of rough states like Russia on global economy, they will be risks. The risks will be extremely high. It is in the best interest of the world business community for Ukraine to be successful in this war, to defend freedom, also freedom of capitals and freedom of trade and freedom as a concept. Because without the concept of freedom, as again I will refer to Prime Minister Draghi, the whole project, the whole concept of our life and everything we stand for, whether we are politicians or businessmen, it just falls apart. It just doesn't work anymore. Turning to your investors, so and I'm sitting at the conference where issues of supporting Ukraine with investment, with strategic investments is being discussed. So let me touch upon this as well. Ukraine is a big economy. It's a big market. Ukraine will be a member of both EU and NATO. Whatever politicians say about the timeline, this is inevitable, and skeptics will realize that it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Now, as a member of NATO and EU, we will be ready to offer security to investors and European rules. NATO means security, EU means European rules of doing business. And this is fundamental. This is the starting point for your future considerations. Now, there will be 4 sources of money to recover Ukraine. The first one will be a multi-year, multi-billion financial assistance coming from national foreign governments, as they will continue to provide us with macro-financial assistance. And here in London, the President of the European Commission announced a multi-year 50 billion euro plan for Ukraine. That's just one as an example. The second source of money will be Ukrainian budget. This third source of money will be the Russian money, be it the interest on Russian frozen assets or Russian frozen assets themselves. This is the question that still needs to be answered. But this money will also be invested in Ukraine because Russia must pay. But the fourth source of money, and by the way, I'm not referring to these sources in any hierarchical order. So the fourth source of money is you. And the main discussion here in London was what kind of conditions we have to create for private businesses to be interested in investing in Ukraine. And this is why your role will become instrumental, because all of you put all together, you can do a lot and you can benefit a lot, because the starting positions in Ukraine and in the recovery of Ukraine will be very good and very favorable for investors. I mentioned in the beginning the de-risking, the hedging, the war-related risks. We are paying great deal of attention to this issue. We will continue with reforms to ensure transparency and streamline rules and procedures in Ukraine. We need you. We need your money. We need your investments. We need your presence on the ground. And we understand why are you probably going to make it, and we want you to benefit from it as well. Now, I heard Valerie mention a couple of areas which will remain in the focus of Almundi, and I heard particularly 2 things: energy transition and digital transformation. You may know that the European Union considers Ukraine as a potential producer and supplier of green hydrogen to the European market. And this creates enormous business opportunities. This industry is in a very early phase of development, and I invite you to look very attentively at hydrogen and other renewable projects in renewables. And on digital, you know very well that Ukraine is very advanced in digital power. The war, as it often happens in history, tragically, but pretty efficiently, allowed us to make even bigger progress in advancing our technological achievements. So this is also the area where you can look that you can look at, and logistics, whatever, and transportation, whatever the digital flows are. There will always be trains and trucks and cars carrying and planes carrying goods and people from one market to another. And of course, enormous amount of money will be invested in Ukraine in strategic upgrade of our infrastructure. But these are all the areas and the special things that you have to look at. What I want you really, what I hope you will take away from our conversation are two things. First, Ukraine is not going to be defined by destruction. We will be defined by a success story of a country that turned itself from Cinderella to Captain Marvel. If you have teenagers watching Marvel movies as I do, you will understand what I mean. And second, yes, we understand that you need time and you all wait for the end of the war. But we ask you one simple thing. Begin working on your potential investments in Ukraine now, so that by the time the war ends, which is going to happen because history of the world knows no wars that would not end one day. So by the time it ends, you will be fully ready to invest, to help us, and also to make profit in Ukraine. There is a lot of work in business development, project development that can be done right now. And I encourage you to look at Ukraine as an investment opportunity, but also as a source of inspiration. Thank you very much, and I wish you a very successful forum.
Thank you very much, Dmytro Kuleba. You, of course, given our audience a lot to reflect on during that powerful message, and we fully support your efforts, including mobilizing investment for the reconstruction process of your country. Thank you again.